1, 2. Is this on?
With all the damage wrestlers take, certain bumps are more painful than others.
That one on the stairs.
My
liver hurts from that. Still, that was.
And I don't know what even happened. The corner of the stairs.
Including ones that hurt the absolute most.
I felt my back was all jacked up really bad after that. It just knocked the wind out of me, and I was like, I was all right, but that's probably the most pain I've ever been in from a wrestling. Any kind of wrestling move.
For this video, we'll be highlighting numerous stars past and present as they take us through which specific bumps hurt them more than any other.
Becky did a leg drop off the top of the ladder onto my ovary. I couldn't breathe.
It was that bad.
I couldn't catch my breath. No.
Today, we list 10 wrestlers' most painful moments in the ring.
I think it was WrestleMania 23 when he jumped off the ladder onto me. That is by far the most painful thing I have ever experienced in my life, period.
Given how he was one of the more agile big men, Kane took plenty of high risks in his career. The most sore he's ever been after taking a move came on the October 24, 2005 Raw. Here, the Big Red Machine took a superplex from Big Show.
I don't know if the ropes can hold the Big Show. No! That's it! What a suplex!
Two giants coming off the top like this is usually enough to break the ring in kayfabe, but on this occasion, the maneuver did tremendous damage to Kane. He confirmed this on Undertaker's 6 Feet Under podcast.
As he's hitting the ring, obviously, then the ring is coming back up. As I'm coming down to land on it as well.
That's how I broke. Yeah.
Ooh, it felt like I get hit with a baseball bat across my kidneys. I mean, it just knocked the wind out of me. I threw my legs like really funky, so I threw my back out. I couldn't walk. I mean, I was able to finish the match barely just because of adrenaline, but I couldn't walk. They had to take me to the hospital, and it was wild though. They did an MRI, and there was no damage. I think my muscles had just seized up, So a couple days later, I was fine, a little sore, but I was okay. That was the most painful thing that had ever happened. I mean, I've had other stuff, but as far as just like, oh my gosh, I can't move. And every time I try to move, just my whole body would just lock up. It was awful.
Somehow Kane was able to finish the match. He even performed another move off the top rope. Thankfully, there were no injuries, but the pain he endured on this night is something the Big Red Monster will never forget. With all the punishment Spike Dudley had taken in his career, there was only one time where Spike didn't know he could finish the match after getting hurt. This happened at ECW Hardcore Heaven 99. Here, Bubba Ray and Devon caught Spike and threw him to the floor. Spike ended up colliding with a steel guardrail and injured his heel. He told the story during an interview with Chris Van Vliet.
This was my bump. I called this bump. But what happened was when they tossed me, my heel hit the top of the guardrail and exploded. I don't think I got hurt. Like I certainly didn't need x-rays or go to the ambulance, but I was like, ow, that hurts. And I was kind of hobbled the rest of the time. But that was the one I remember as like, can I go on? Am I gonna be able to finish the match? As the most painful, I would say. Yeah, definitely. I'd go with that one.
Miraculously, Spike was able to finish the match and didn't miss any time because of the bump. Spike's brother Bubba always took great care when putting women through tables. The male wrestlers would take a back bump, while for the girls, Dudley used a sit-out technique, taking most of the impact on his butt. However, things went wrong on the March 18, 2002 Raw. During the show, STACY KEIBLER took a nasty bump after receiving a powerbomb from Bubba. STACY was a fair bit taller than any of the ladies Bubba had powerbombed before, so this likely contributed to the rough landing. That's because the tables should have been spaced further away to make up for the height discrepancy.
I don't know if those legs will ever be the same again. They never be in the air again, JR.
KEIBLER explained what happened during a conversation with Sam Roberts.
Because it was just like a little bit off, so instead of, the way it was supposed to happen, I took the entire fall, and I was trying to see if I could feel my fingertips, like when I was laying there, because I really thought that I broke my neck. Yeah. I think I still have some like neck issues from that. Thanks, Bubba. Yeah, like it.
Did you take the fall wrong?
It was, the table set up so that the guys are helping, their body weight is helping with the table breaking as well, but it was just lined up a little differently, and I get like really slammed through it right straight from my back. Yeah, on my back.
On his YouTube channel, Maven Huffman has detailed numerous moments where he got badly hurt in the ring. There's two in particular that stand out to Maven, one of which saw him mess up his knee sliding into the ring. On the Sunday Night Heat pre-show before Vengeance 2004, adrenaline was running high, so Maven wasn't truly hurting until he got to the back. Once he felt the full effects of what happened, Huffman described it as the worst pain in his life.
I squarely banged my knee on the side of the iron beam as hard
as I ever have. And you actually see me almost hopping around. What you don't see is the intense agony, the pain that is coursing through my body. To this day, I still cannot walk up steps and put full pressure on that knee. And it gives out on me from time to time.
Maven also mentions the time when he got knocked silly after taking a money shot splash from Val Venus on the April 27, 2003 Sunday Night Heat. It was a scary moment as Maven whacked his head on the canvas while bracing for impact.
If we're going to see it, I think we are. Oh, there it is! The money shot, hook of the leg, 3 count.
The moment he landed on me, like, because I'm leaning up to absorb the impact, and he hits me, and the back of my head hit the back of the mat, and it was a concussion. I saw stars, and I mean, I was loopy for probably 30 minutes afterward. Ref had to help me out of the ring.
As long as it's good for him, it's good for everybody, but very impressive this week. No doubt about that.
Let's take a break from the list to highlight one honorable mention. The Hurricane's most painful moment in wrestling didn't come until late in his career. It involved being thrown back first to the floor. Wrestlers often say this is one of the most pain-inducing bumps there is, and we'll have even more examples of this later. Hurricane entered the 2021 Royal Rumble knowing he would get his big moment, but it was going to come at a cost. That being when Big E and Bobby Lashley sent him flying to the outside.
Hurricane gonna... fly.
He really can.
Hurricane described the moment while chatting to Chris Van Vliet.
That was the first time. That's the first and only time. This is a true story that the referee came and asked me, was I okay? And I said no.
Why weren't you okay?
Because I thought I broke my back. Like when I hit, I kind of landed, my heels hit first, and they kind of shot out from underneath me, and I just went down on my tailbone, and I kind of had probably what would be described as a little bruise, probably on my lower spine, something like that, because like everything hurt. That was one of the most painful bumps I've ever taken in my entire career.
Big E is once again dishing out the punishment in our next example, but instead of helping Lashley throw out Hurricane, this time Bobby was on the receiving end. We're referring to Lashley and Big E's match on the December 13th, 2021 Raw, in which E slammed the Almighty on the steel ring steps. Instead of landing flat on the middle of the stairs, Lashley's back bounced off the corner.
Oh, God! The action has been brutal.
Bobby relayed how the bump felt during a CVV interview with the Hurt Syndicate.
That one on the stairs.
My
liver hurts from that. Still, that was
And I don't know what even happened. The corner of the stairs, the metal stairs, picked me up and slammed me on it. And it was one of those ones where I thought when I hit it and I laid down on the ground, I was like, I'm still okay. But when I watched it back, and I have it on my Instagram, so it'll be, but it's horrible. Thank God I was okay afterwards.
Sometimes in wrestling, talent will show respect to their peers by taking a big bump for them, in return for another one down the line. This is what Edge did for Jeff Hardy following their famous hanging spear at WrestleMania 17. 6 years later at the Show of Shows, Edge was on the receiving end of a spot by Jeff that absolutely crushed the Rated R superstar. In the Money in the Bank match, Hardy leg dropped Edge through a ladder. All the charismatic Enigma's weight came down on the Ultimate Opportunist's body.
Jeff Hardy said he was going to steal WrestleMania. You gotta be kidding me! Watch this impact! The height.
Edge recalled the agony he went through on Edge and Christian's Pod of Awesomeness.
He is one of the surprisingly heaviest people, but he's about 225.
He's about 450 pounds anyway.
When he lands on you, it feels like he's 4 bills for sure. I think it was WrestleMania 23 when he jumped off the ladder onto me. That is by far the most painful thing I have ever experienced in my life, period. It hurt so bad. But I felt like I owed him that for him taking that spear at WrestleMania 17.
Charlotte Flair underwent a similar experience to Edge at TLC 2018. She got hit with a leg drop from Becky Lynch off a ladder through the announce table. The desk didn't cave in at the right time though, meaning Flair took the brunt of the impact. Since there was nothing to break her fall, you can hear Charlotte writhing in agony after being completely flattened by Lynch.
Look at the height.
Flair looked back on the spot during an appearance on the Trading Secrets podcast.
Becky did a leg drop off the top of the ladder onto my ovary. I couldn't breathe.
It was that bad.
I couldn't catch my breath. No, it was just like how she lived. She didn't mean to or anything like that, but that's probably been the worst bump I have ever taken.
Another angle here again is Becky Lynch. Good Lord.
We've got another entry featuring loud screams and ladders, which dates back to Unforgiven 2004 when Chris Jericho faced Christian. Jericho suffered a nasty spill onto the ladder when he landed butt first on one of the edges. In his second book, Chris said the bump felt like being violated by RoboCop. Y2J could hardly walk afterward and was only able to sit down on one cheek. He was later diagnosed with a cracked coccyx bone, although Jericho didn't take any time off and kept wrestling.
Needs about one more step before Jericho can take that step. Man, Jericho's lower back is...
A bump that did put Chris on the shelf for a short time occurred at AEW Blood and Guts 2021 in what Jericho called the hardest bump of his career as he fell backwards off the cage onto the debris below. On his YouTube channel, Chris shot down any criticism he received for the spot by stating that he suffered a fractured elbow during the fall.
It was not a crash pad that I fell on. There were cardboard boxes that were basically set up, and there was across the board, and you fall on them, and I guess the cardboard kind of softens the blow with a piece of plywood over the top that was not even as thick as this book.
Again, look at this. Throwing Jericho off the top of the steel cage.
The elbow injury is legit. Just so you guys know, it's not a work. And it came from that because I hit the side of the stage, and then my head missed the back by just a little bit. If you see it, there's a bunch of spotlights and stuff. So
Y2J also considers the apron powerbomb from Kevin Owens among the worst bumps he's ever taken.
No way, no. No matter what Jericho's done, he hasn't deserved that. A power bomb into the apron.
Speaking of Kevin Owens, he's narrowed his worst bumps down to 3, including one where he bounced off the apron in Ring of Honor. There was also a chokeslam onto the steel ramp by Braun Strowman.
That kick by Kevin Owens didn't even phase Strowman. And now the monster of the back with a chokeslam. Oh my God.
And lastly, we have when Owens missed a cannonball and landed hard on the floor.
Looking to strike. He knows he can. Oh my God, nobody home.
Johnny Gargano did something similar to Kevin by somersaulting to the floor off a suplex at NXT TakeOver New Orleans. Gargano had previously performed the cannonball bump to the outside at TakeOver Philadelphia.
Lined up. Off the apron. Oh, no! Nobody home.
That bump sucked so much. And stuff came out of me, and you can guess what came out of me.
That's just your body's reaction to like
stuff shooting out. Yeah, I think.
Usually, wrestlers go through a table sideways and down the middle, as opposed to vertically. On the August 23rd, 2001 SmackDown, Jeff Hardy learned exactly why in brutal fashion. The finish of this match with Rob Van Dam saw Jeff explode through the table after missing a swanton bomb while on top of the ladder. With all the damage he's taken in his career, this must have felt like hell for Jeff to consider it his most painful bump. It just looked as devastating as it felt, according to Hardy, as heard during an interview with Chris Van Vliet.
And I remember like Vance was like, why do you want to do it like that? I've never seen anybody do it like this before. I just like to do it. I felt my back was all jacked up really bad after that. It just knocked the wind out of me, and I was like, I was all right, but that's probably the most pain I've ever been in from a wrestling, any kind of wrestling move.
Now, if you enjoyed this video, be sure to check out our similar video on 10 times WWE screwed wrestlers out of their own ideas. Hope you have a great day, and I'll see you next time.